We are starting this half hour talking about education. The South Carolina House is debating legislation that bans what some GOP lawmakers say is race-based teaching. News 19's Becky Buds is at the State House with details of what's the issue. Becky.
Republicans insist the bill prevents divisiveness in the classroom, while Democrats argue it will prevent the teaching of history and drive more teachers out the door.
In this state, I would pack up my stuff and I would quit right now, because obviously the state cares more about politics than they do about you and the students.
And that's exactly what we're dealing with in this bill as well, to make sure that our kids in a public school do not receive instruction that a parent would not be able to support.
The South Carolina Transparency and Integrity in Education Act would prohibit teaching that an individual is inherently privileged, racist, sexist, or oppressive, among other requirements. Democrats proposed dozens of amendments that would have required teaching of Jim Crow laws, Dixiecrats, and making the bill include private schools. All of them were voted down by Republicans. Annie McDaniel represents Fairfield County.
So I've been through a whole lot in the state. So when you see us come up here and you see us talking about these things that we know are going to do damage to our communities, all I ask is you just try to take us a little bit serious.
If passed, the proposal would take effect for the 2024-2025 school year and require that school districts' websites include a list of approved textbooks. It also calls on schools to create complaint forms for parents to use if classroom material is discovered to be objectionable. Lawmakers voted to take out a parental pledge of responsibility.
Last time I checked, it wasn't parents that were the problem. It isn't parents that the government should be telling what to do.
If passed, the bill will then head to the Senate, where a similar proposal died last year, just days before the legislative session ended. Reporting at the State House, Becky Buds, News 19 WLTX.
Well, schools or other educational agencies found violating the proposed law or refusing to adhere to a correction plan could see up to 5% of their appropriated funds withheld by the State Department of Education.
So what is critical race theory, if you're wondering? First of all, it's not being taught in South Carolina at all. Critical race theory, it's a way of teaching America's history that centers on the idea that racism is systematic in our nation's institutions and that they function to maintain the dominance of white people in society. For example, the idea highlights that the U.S. was founded through stealing land from natives, racism and slavery, and unequal treatment of people on the basis of race. Proponents of critical race theory argue that it tells a more complete story of America's history, but many Republicans think it's a way to rewrite American history and would make people, particularly white people, uncomfortable and feel guilty because of their advantages.